The Great Gatsby is a book published in 1925 and written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The Great Gatsby is about a young man named Nick Carraway who moves to Long Island in New York in 1922 and becomes witness to the fascinating yet deeply tragic story of his neighbor Jay Gatsby. In this analysis, I'll be focusing on characterizing the two main characters, Nick and Gatsby, and how the story is an ironic twist of the American dream. Nick is the narrator of the novel, so therefore he acts as a natural bystander of the story. However, he also participates in the action of the novel and is a credible character in the book. Nick is a quiet, thoughtful character who's portrayed more morally upright compared to other characters. Nick is often seen as a sympathetic character, which is shown in the novel as a lot of the other characters trust and confides in him. And that is seen in the quote, "I'm going to make a big request of you today," he said, pocketing his souvenirs with satisfaction. "So I thought you ought to know something about me. I didn't want to think I was just somebody. You see, I usually find myself among strangers because I drift here and there trying to forget the sad things that happened to me." This quote illustrates how Gatsby shares a part of his personal history and his feeling of isolation with Nick, demonstrating the level of trust he feels towards him. Besides being a trustful character, Nick also maintains a good relationship with both the people from the old money world of East Egg, where his cousin Daisy and her husband Tom Buchanan lives, and the new money world of West Egg, where his neighbor Jay Gatsby lives. Therefore, he also serves as a bridge between the two worlds. In the beginning of the novel, when Nick arrives in West Egg, he's very optimistic for his future. He's excited about the opportunities that lie ahead and is eager to live in the glamorous world of New York society and pursue his own ambitions. However, as the story proceeds, Nick becomes more aware of the power and downsides of wealth and fame, and it's clear to see how he becomes more disgusted by it and by the social circles in New York. It becomes particularly vibrant at the end of the novel when he finds that no one is willing to attend Gatsby's funeral, which also leads to him leaving New York and returning to a simpler life in the West. Now I'm going to characterize Jay Gatsby, who's the central character in the novel. Especially in the beginning, he's a very mysterious man, and almost everyone in New York has heard his name. However, his real identity and personality is a mystery. As reader, we also don't hear the real story about him until the end, where he finally confides in Nick and tells the whole truth about his life. Gatsby is a wealthy young man who lives in a luxurious house where he every weekend throws huge, elegant parties that people from all over New York attend to. As mentioned before, we hear the truth about him at the end, where he finally tells Nick about his upbringing with very poor parents and that he never really accepted them. We hear that Gatsby in reality became rich by following Dan Cody's lifestyle advice and by doing illegal business. Besides being mysterious, Gatsby can also be described as a very optimistic, patient, yet naive character, which is seen in his longing for Daisy Buchanan. It's revealed in the story that all he has accomplished and all the huge party he threw were just for Daisy to notice him. In this quote, "Remember old sport? She was very excited this afternoon. He told her those things in a way that frightened her, that made it look as if I was some kind of cheap sharper. It's clear to see how naive Gatsby is. Gatsby don't want to believe that Daisy can't leave Tom, and he interprets Daisy's excitement as a positive sign, unaware that he may even have unsettled or even frightened her." So as the novel progresses, Jay Gatsby goes from being a mysterious and well-liked man to being a very broken person. Gatsby's character undergoes significant development, particularly in his interaction with the other characters, and his relentless pursuit of Daisy leaves him isolated and defeated, which in the end leads him to his death. Now I'm going to talk about how the novel is an ironic twist of the American dream. And the American dream is one of the main themes in The Great Gatsby, and is clearly seen as a lot of the characters either have or strive for wealth and a perfect life. However, the story can also be seen as an ironic twist of the American dream, as even though the characters live in wealth, their life doesn't seem to be that great. Jay Gatsby has striven his whole life to be rich and sophisticated so that he could win Daisy. However, when he finally achieved this, Daisy was already married, so even when achieving the American dream, it was not enough to get Daisy to completely love him. His obsession with having a life with Daisy leaves him alone and is also what ends up getting him killed at the end of the story. This shows that being wealthy isn't a guarantee for a good life with love. Daisy's relation to her husband Tom Buchanan also shows that a life with wealth isn't always that great. Daisy and Tom Buchanan have old money, which means that they have already been rich and fulfilled with the so-called American dream. But their lives and relations is still filled with sadness, emptiness, and longing for more. They both cheat on each other, and it's clear in the novel that even though they live in a huge house, they are not happy together. Myrtle and Tom's relation is another example of the ironic American dream. Myrtle is dissatisfied with her non-wealthy husband George Wilson, and therefore she seeks for the extravagant lifestyle by having an affair with Tom. However, her pursuit is what leads her to a tragic death, and the irony lies in the fact that her attempt of leaving her poorer environment and seeking the American dream only ends up leading her to a downfall, and it's what ends up killing both Myrtle and George Wilson. To sum up The Great Gatsby, it's a tale of disillusionment in the American dream in New York, and is focused on Jay Gatsby's relentless pursuit of it through his love for Daisy Buchanan. The novel exposes the ironic twist of American dream, portraying how wealth often ends up leading to dissatisfaction and tragedy.